Okay, I'm just what I want to say is, strictly speaking, not a lecture, more of a symposium contribution. I find that the key words restructuring and separation have almost two fathers, two different fathers, so to speak. Restructuring is founded on hope that things will change. On the other hand, separation is founded on pessimism, that we don't think that things will change. I think we should be heading differently. So it's absolutely when the hope of restructuring has failed that the pessimism of separation begins to get keen on separation, and those who are keen on restructuring. The Yoruba nation is still divided essentially along those who think that restructuring will solve the problem, those who think that separation is really the way to go, that it's a waste of time to begin to talk about restructuring. My worry is that both separation and restructuring are not accommodated in our present constitution sufficiently for us to be hopeful that either of the two can be done. And that means that you need a massive revision of the constitution. And politically, to get a constitution that allows you to go to separate or to restructure would demand two things: the ability to overcome the opposition to either of the two, or the ability to persuade people to see things your own way. Restructuring in its extreme, enthusiastically people think that it's going back to the old regions. Some people are talking in terms of the 6 zones forming the nucleus of a political arrangement. Fortunately for us, there are elements that are emerging from the north, which is the center opposition to any change at all. They are the ones who are worried about change, and it's about survival. It's about the economic well-being. Nigeria came as a result of the merger of the Northern Protectorate and the Southern for economic reasons. Those reasons have not disappeared. That dependence is still there. And if you look at the geography of the far north, the desertification and all that is happening, that desperation is not going to decrease, it's going to increase. And therefore, the northern aristocracy is going to cling very tenaciously to one Nigeria. And so how do we overcome that? We can't do it constitutionally because already the constitution is skewed in their favor. The membership of the National Assembly, the number of houses of assembly that will need to endorse constitutional change is not in our favor. We are not even sure whether we can carry some of our southern states along with us to get the 2/3 that you need to put of the assemblies and the National Assembly to get a constitutional review in place. So we are looking for restructuring, forming new political geography, but that is difficult because it requires constitutionalism. It requires massive persuasion. It might even require the kind of time that we do not have. So referendum for restructuring is not even accommodated in our constitution. We can go around telling Yoruba people, come and vote so that you can restructure. After that, what do? After Yoruba people have told, because right now, we know that many Yoruba people don't like what is going on with Nigeria, and they will, I think, rather prefer another arrangement. I don't know what arrangement they will prefer right now until you go through a referendum. But the referendum will lead to where? What will it lead to? If you do a plebiscite among Yoruba people and they say, yes, we want to go away or we want to restructure, how do you now effect it? I've been hearing a lot of people talking about United Nations. United Nations don't create nations. Nations create themselves. They fight and fight until they get support from powerful countries of the world. The same thing is applicable to separation. The separation is also not there in our constitution. Our constitution is such that it thinks that Nigeria can never break. It has a military, hold on the nation. The constitution is a military document, and it has all the elements of autocracy. And that's why we have a central government that is so powerful, and states that have become supplicants to the federal government. So we have to go through the constitutional change. And when we talk about referendum, it must have an end, an objective. Whereas it will tell you that the Yoruba people have it. That is, if they even allow you to do it, it will tell you that this is what these people want. We better begin to listen to them. But that's if you assume that talking to reasonable people, that people who have the desire for change. But that's not, we shouldn't be pessimistic. It's quite possible that after the referendum, they will see where we are going. Separation can either be done peacefully or through violence. And the way people are talking, you can listen to the federal government talking about subversives and people who are wanting to break the country, thinking in terms of violence, wanting to visit those people with violence. That is where we are now. And are we prepared for the violence that will come if we push this separation further? If you look at post-Second World War, almost 40 to 50 countries have separated, from their parent body. So it is nothing new, and it is something that should be encouraged. If I were to make a preference in the Nigerian situation, separation would be the ideal, because it then gives us the opportunity to manage our own destiny. Restructuring does not promise anything. Restructuring is just going to be where you have your police, your this, but you still have a federal government that you cannot predict. Because what is happening in Nigeria today is not a constitutional thing, it's a political choice of those who are doing it. When you have a president who appoints everybody from his region into positions, that's not a constitutional thing, that's in defiance of the Constitution. So we must not be too optimistic about legalism, referendum, constitutional change. What we can get at the most right now is marginal devolution. That's what I think these people are prepared for, because even that devolution of power, which will lead to resource control, lead to local police forces, and so many other things, threatens the North in terms of the resources available for them to survive. So referendum is okay, but where does it lead us to? Where does referendum lead us to in terms of restructuring? But of course, nobody is talking about referendum for restructuring. They're talking about separation. That is even more difficult because these people are not, there's a precedent. Biafra was not allowed to be. And the insinuation that it was going to come back 2 years ago was visited with utmost violence.
Yeah.
We should expect the violence if we are prepared for it, but we should not think that it's a Zoom affair, that we'll talk about it and other people will be reasonable and listen to us and do it because our argument is stronger. It's a struggle. Sometimes it's a violent struggle. In many countries, that's what they did. More recently, South Sudan and Sudan, it took several decades of bloodletting. And it looks like the AU attitude is that the colonial boundaries are sacrosanct. And that's the psychology of African leaders. And they are not ready to let any part of it go, even when they are manifestly incompetent in managing what they have. So the whole purpose of academic exercise is to raise up the issues, not to encourage people to believe that things are easy. It's easy to do all this on the pages of newspapers, on television, on Zoom meetings, but face the reality. Once we have the referendum, which is the central point of this seminar, whether you can have a referendum for either, in a situation where there's no provision for referendum in your constitution. So you first have to go back to your constitution, change it to allow referendum to be the deciding factor in the decisions of nationalities. Nationalities should be allowed to determine their future, but you have to put that in your constitution. If you are not ready to put it in your constitution, if you cannot do it, you must be ready to fight for it. And I dare say that Yoruba nation is the most vulnerable in terms of fighting violent engagements, not because we are weak, but because we are developed, we are urbanized, and we have a great deal to lose than those people that we want to fight. Let me stop there and hope that I provoked your thoughts for you to contribute.